Now let us go back to the rest of the commands. Oh, test user. Okay. See, some of the commands here I cannot copy paste. That's what you need to understand. I told you, right? So from this particular window, what you're seeing right now, you cannot use Control C, Control V, or we cannot use mouse access into this particular window. Okay, that is the reason why everything we have to type. Okay. Now, the rest of the commands which I want to teach is yesterday we have talked about. Uh, Let me open the notepad. LS command, mkdir command. We have discussed all of them. Okay, so this is the list of the commands. Now for today, let us continue from here. Now, here my requirement is, for example, in Windows, if you want to shift from one directory to another directory, we use double click and we'll go to that particular specific directory. Or we can jump from here and there. What about Linux operating system? For example, you have this particular directory. I want to be inside that particular directory called DevOps. Okay. So right now I'm here. Under this particular path, we have a directory called DevOps. I want to be inside it. So cd DevOps. Now you are here. If I give pwd, it will show you the path like this. What does it mean? You are inside this particular directory. Okay. Now here I want to create one more directory. Under this, I want to create one more directory called, let us say, mkdir AWS. And I want to create Azure as well. So if I want to create two directories at a time, okay, we can use flower brace or we can just use a space and we can create, let us say, Azure. Now two directories have been created. Done. Now I want to go inside AWS directory, for example. So AWS directory. Okay. So you are here right now. Now the requirement is I want to go back to Azure directory. I'm here right now. I want to go one step backward where I can see Azure directory. So one step backward in Linux operating system is called as dot dot previous working directory. Okay. Dot is called as current working directory. Okay. Single dot is called as current working directory. Current working directory. Dot dot previous working directory. Or we can say previous working directory. Okay. So based on this particular points, now based on this particular point, I want to go one step backward. Okay. So cd dot dot. What does it mean? From current working directory, you will go back to the previous working directory, one step backward. So I will go back to DevOps directory. I will be inside that, not under AWS. You can see now, and you are here. Now I want to go inside Azure directory, cd Azure. You're here right now. Now my another requirement is I want to go inside I want to go two steps backward. How is that possible? cd dot dot slash directory separations are slash, right, in a Linux operating system. Slash and then dot dot. Okay, two steps backward. If you want to go three steps backward, slash dot dot. Okay, so let me give this. So where you are right now? You're outside of the DevOps directory because you went two steps backward. Now here there is another requirement. Till now we understood what is meant by cd go back to the directory or cd one step backward. You have understood forward and backward kind of scenario. Now I want to go to the previous directory. See, before coming here, I am somewhere else in some particular path. I want to go back to that particular path. I don't remember it right now. Let us assume that I don't remember. Before I'm coming to this particular directory, I'm under Azure directory. That Azure directory is under DevOps. So under DevOps directory, there is Azure directory, you are inside that. I want to go back to that particular path without me typing the path, without me giving the path. How is that possible? CD hyphen. Okay, it will go to the previous working directory. You can see you came back to the DevOps Azure directory. Again, if I give CD hyphen, what will happen? Before coming here, before executing this command, where you are under /home/test user. If you want to go back to that again, CD hyphen. This is as simple as that. Okay. So that is all about CD space hyphen. Okay. Now let us go back to this particular path. I want to come back to the home directory of that particular user. You are somewhere else, maybe some XYZ location. Okay. I want to come back to the wherever I am. I want to come back to my user's home directory. In this particular case, what is the user's home directory? /home/test user. Technically, it is called as user's home directory. I'll just write here current user home directory. In this particular scenario, it is /home and my username is test user. So the test user is having a directory. In Windows, we call it home directory as well. For example, if you go to my PC, C drive, users, you can see this is my home directory of this particular system. Okay, this is the path. Okay, what does it mean? If I open the command prompt in Windows operating system, you can see where you are by default. You are in the user's home directory. Okay, similar to that, in Linux operating system, this is my user actually. I'm using this particular user as a default to log into the operating system. So I'm under this particular path. Okay, so now the point is, wherever you are, I want to come back to my home directory. Okay, simple. CD, enter. Okay, if I give CD, enter, you will come back to the home directory of the current user where you are. Okay, so these are like shortcuts what we can use in order to jump here and there in the Linux operating system directories. Okay, any confusion part in this? Maybe you have to practice for sure. Only when you do it practically, right, you will come across the questions for sure. If you're not able to identify anything here, just practice and come back with the questions. No? Okay. Let's go to the next one. So we have gone through CD command. And under the CD command, I have shown you some options. Now, another requirement is I want to know like what is the capacity, the CPU capacity of my virtual machine, or let us say the machine where I have logged in. Okay. Now, this particular system, I want to know what is the CPU allocated, what is the total amount of CPU, how much CPU was utilized, how much CPU is left. This kind of information I want to see. In Windows operating system, if you guys know, you can right click on the taskbar and there is a task manager. And if I go back to this particular performances, here I can see the CPU, memory utilization, disk utilization, Ethernet, or let us say Wi-Fi. I'm using Wi-Fi right now. So this is Wi-Fi utilization. Okay. And here we can see memory utilization, the graph. What is the total memory of my system right now? 22.3 GB. Okay. So this is how it is. How much is in use? Okay. All this information, but the total size of this particular memory is 32 GB. Okay. How much is utilized? 8.1 GB. So 22.3 GB is left. You can see this particular graph of utilization. Okay. So here it is a GUI. We are able to open some application and we are able to see it. Then what about Linux operating system? There we can use a command called free space. And if I don't give any option and if I try to execute this command, here there are some numbers. You can see mem. See that particular line called mem. Mem in this is memory. Okay. In that memory, you can see total some particular number, used some number, free some number and all. Now I'm not able to understand, is it MB? Is it kilobyte? Is it megabyte, gigabyte or terabyte or petabyte? I'm not able to understand. So that's the reason why when you don't pass any option for the free command, it will by default give you the data in the form of bytes. I cannot see, I want to print this output in human readable language. I don't want to use any calculator to convert this into GB or MB or something else. If you want to print this particular output in human readable language, we use some option called -H, human readable, and give enter. You can see now the total capacity of this particular virtual machine is 3.8 GB, maybe approximately 4 what I've allocated. And you can see utilized 386 MB. What is the free space right now? 3.5 GB. And you can see there is a buffer or cache memory which is available. Okay. So this is the option what we have to use in order to know the memory utilization on the system. Okay. Another one is I want to know what is the load on this particular CPU. What are the CPUs allocated to this particular system? I want to know the load on that particular CPU. For example, I'll go back to Windows again. I click Task Manager. So here you can see the CPU. Okay. But here you can see the CPU utilization, all this particular information. There is an uptime. Okay. From how long this particular system is running? From past 16 minutes. So before the session got started, I've just started this particular PC and you can see the uptime. So you need to understand that uptime is all about from how long your system is running. Okay. In Linux operating system, it will run some years together. Servers. There are some particular servers, they are running from years together. Okay. They are still available. Okay. Windows cannot handle like that. Windows needs a reboot for some particular things to be fixed. Okay. But in Linux operating system, that is not the case. You can run the Linux operating system without rebooting it from years together. Okay. Now, coming back to the actual point, let me just close this one. Now, I want to know what is a uptime. Means, let's say from how long this particular system is running. I want to know how many users have logged in. I want to know what is the load on the CPU right now. Okay. For that, we have a command called uptime. You can see it is printing the time. Means when I executed this command, what is the time? If you want, you can verify it. Now it is 7:19, 15 seconds. That's fine. Okay, but you can see when I executed that uptime, that is a timestamp. And you can see up 15 minutes. What does it mean? From how long this particular virtual machine is running? From past 15 minutes. How many users have logged in? Only one user. That is myself, which have logged in. You can see this is the only session what we have for this particular user. Only one user has logged in. And then we can see load average. There are three values. Okay. In the load average, we can see three values. One is 1.32 and you are able to see 0.88 and then we have seen 0.58. Why we have three values? One is from past current utilization. I can say current utilization. From past 1 minute, we can say this is from past 1 minute. What is the load on the system right now? 1.32. I'll tell you what is this value. And here we can see it is from past 5 minutes. What is the load? And from past 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Why we need to have three values? Because load is not the same for every 1 minute, right? It will get shuffled, it will get changed. So that is the reason why it is showing you three values so that you can take an average of it. So from past 1 minute, the load is 1.32. Obviously, it might be increased or decreased, whatever it is. From past 5 minutes, it is 0.88. From past 10 minutes, it is 0.58. Okay. So if you want to know from 10 minutes back, what is the load average? It is 0.58. Okay. Now here, does anyone know what is meant by this particular values? 1 is equivalent to what? 1. These are the values right now. You are able to see it. Now, for example, I'm able to see 0.58. What does it mean? Percentage wise, or if you know about this. 1 in the sense, 1 core CPU. For example, 1 core CPU. First of all, you have to check how many core CPUs you have. Okay, if you want to see that, let me just show you. The total capacity core CPUs of this particular system is, you can see, okay, 12 core. 12 core CPU. How much we have allocated to this particular virtual machine? That is a total cores of this particular physical machine. But how much you have allocated to the virtual machine? If you remember, I have allocated 2 core CPU. Okay. So now it is 0.58 in the sense 1 is equal to 1 core CPU. So it is using out of 2 core CPU, it is using only one. And in that particular one, it is using only 58% of it. 58% of it. Now, to go further, I can say in the form of 100%, in the percentage, if you want to say it, it is 50% utilized. Not 50, I would say 25% utilized of total core CPU, total number of core CPUs. Okay, let us not get confused. I'll pick one more value. Let us say we have 1.32. 1 in the sense what it has already crossed 100% of one core CPU, and in the second core CPU, it is using 32%. So we can say 132%. Like that. Okay. So here we have 2 core CPUs, for example, 2 core. So it has crossed 100% of one core CPU, and in the second core CPU, it is using 32%. We can say just like 132% of utilization. Okay. So this is the information what we can understand by looking at that particular values. Okay. Now one more thing is this is a fixed value, means when I executed that command, that is a uptime, that is a load average as well. Now if I execute, it might get changed. You can see the load average from past 1 minute has been reduced. Now it is only 0.69. Now from past 5 minutes, you can see it is 0.72. From past 10 minutes, it is 0.58. Okay. So that's the reason it is a static value. The value is what I'm seeing right now from the uptime. It is called a static. Static in the sense what? At that point of time, when I ran the uptime command, these are the values. And it might get changed in between. Okay. If I execute once again, you can see it got changed. Okay. So next one is you are able to see there is one user who has logged into this particular system. As administrator, I want to know who is that user, some more information about it. Then we can use an option called W. You can see below that, the first line is all about the uptime value. If I give W command also, it will give you the uptime data, and below that it will give you the user information as well. You can see one user has logged in, that username is test user, and the terminal when he has logged in at 7:05. I logged into this particular virtual machine when at 7:05 when I started this particular session recording as well. So exactly it is showing you when you have logged into this particular system and what is the last command that you have executed. In the last command, the last column you can see it. Which command that particular user has executed. Okay. So if you want to know this kind of information, you have to use W. Okay. And there is one more option called who am I with spaces. Last time what we have seen without spaces, it will let you know which user you are. Okay. And if I give who am I, it will give you only user information. I told you there is one user who has logged into the system, right? I want to see only that information. Then you have to give spaces. Who space am space I. It will give you the terminal number, timestamp when he has logged into the system. Okay. Now, see now why this particular commands are getting little bit differed, because based on the output what you want to fetch, that particular command you have to pick. For example, I don't want to print, for example, I don't want to execute W command. Why? Because along with the load average, I'm able to see the user information as well. I want to print only load average. Let us say I will give uptime. Even I don't want to print the last command executed uptime, and I don't want to see the number of users logged in. All this information I don't want to see it. Okay. In that particular case, if I want to print only load average, okay, you have to know the options. So what are the options I can pass to this uptime if I want to know? I cannot go to the browser right now. For example, let us say I don't have internet access, but still I want to see what are the options I can pass to this particular command. We can use --help to read the documentation. You can see there is a since, there is a pretty, okay, and there is pretty help. All other options are available. For example, let me try to give P. You can see uptime means it is your system is running from past 25 minutes, sorry, 23 minutes. And you can see from how long this particular system is running. Okay, and then timestamp, these are fine. Okay. Now, the another command is, so we have talked about uptime. So we have talked about W, and then free space -h, free command, we call it as. Okay, these commands are done. So the next one, for example, I'll draw one diagram so that the explanation will be much easier for me. Sorry. For example, this is your system. Okay. In my case, I'm using Windows system right now. On this particular system, I have installed one application, and by using that application, let us say there is an application. This is only for our understanding purpose. There is an application called Oracle VirtualBox. Okay. So by using this application, I have created a virtual machine. Now, this particular virtual machine, what kind of operating system we have installed? Let us say Ubuntu. Ubuntu server 24.04, the version. Okay. So this information you already know about it. Fine. Now, let us say I have logged into this particular Windows system. From here, I'm able to access the virtual machine by using this console. Okay. So what does it mean? By using this particular console, I'm talking to my Ubuntu operating system, which is running on a virtual machine. Fine. Now, the challenges what I see is I don't have a comfort, I would say, in that particular terminology. I cannot use I cannot use mouse, or I cannot use Control C, Control V. These kind of shortcuts, I'm not able to use it. in order to simplify my task right now in this particular scenario. So what I want to do is I want to log into this particular virtual machine from my Windows system. Okay. Does anyone know if you want to log in from your Windows system to a Linux system, what are the applications we have? Let us say you have a Windows system, you have your Linux server, you are working for a company, there is a Linux server somewhere else sitting. Now you want to log into it. Do you know like what kind of applications we use? Dev desktop. Sorry? Dev desktop. Okay.
Tomcat,
Sorry, come again.
Tomcat is one.
Tomcat.
Yeah.
Tomcat is a web server, right? See, here I'm not talking about, I don't want to run any web application in my system. I want to use an application so that I can log into my Linux system.
Remote connection.
A remote connection, we call it as what kind of application we use for that remote connection? Putty. In Windows, we use something like Putty. Okay. Nowadays, Putty is also not necessary. We can use command prompt. Like from the CMD, we can log in, or we can use mobile system. There are many applications like that. Okay. Simple information. So from one Windows system, if you want to log into another Windows system, forget about Linux. From Windows to Linux, if you want to log in, we have to use something like Putty, mobile system, okay, or from the command prompt also we can log in. What about if I want to log into another Windows system, remote connection? Remote desktop protocol, RDP. You might have seen it, but let me show you this one. Remote desktop connection. If I use this particular application, I can log into another Windows system. I can control from here. That is called as remote connection. You understood the point, right? I'm sitting on this particular system. I want to log into another system which is sitting somewhere else. I have to know the IP address of that particular server and I have to know the username password. Then I will be able to log in. Okay, so username and then I have to give the credentials in the next step. Then you will be able to log in if it is allowed. So this is called as remote connections, where it is Windows to Windows or Windows to Linux. Okay. Now, coming back to the point, here I want to log in from my Windows system to this particular virtual machine. First thing which is important is IP address. Okay. What is the IP address of this particular virtual machine? I want to verify. In Windows, how will you verify? What is an IP address? Whenever your device is connected to your Wi-Fi dongle, or let us say any other network, your system will get an IP address. So how will you know what is an IP address of your system? Any guess or any answers for this? What is IP address and all we'll discuss later in networking concept. But every system, every device in the network will have an IP address. Okay. So how will you know the IP address of your Windows on your Windows system? Is there a way? Okay. There is a method. If I go to command prompt, I can use a command called ipconfig. Ipconfig. So what is IP address? Sorry. So what is IP address? This one. 192.168.0.3. This is the IP address what I got from my Wi-Fi router. I'm using Wi-Fi on my system right now. Though it is a PC, I can use it. There is a simple device that if I attach it to the USB port of my CPU, it will act like a Wi-Fi. Okay. So imagine it is like a Wi-Fi card. Now, by using that particular Wi-Fi card, it is able to connect to my Wi-Fi router and it is able to get the IP address, right? So similar to that. So this is the command. Simple way to understand this is the command in order to execute and see the IP address of your system in Windows. What about Linux? Simple question. In Linux operating system, sorry, just a second, guys. Have to maximize this window. Yeah. So the command is, if guys have already worked on Linux operating system, earlier we used to use if config. Now this particular command got deprecated. This is no longer available in Linux operating system as a default option. Additionally, if you want to do it, we have to install the package. You can say Ubuntu is suggesting to execute a command called sudo space apt space install space net hyphen tools if you want to execute this command. But I don't want. The latest command is ip space addr. Either we can use this command or we can use ip space a. Okay, both will give you the same result. The simple way to remember is ip space a. That's all. What is the IP address of this particular system? Forget about the first one, what you're seeing. That is called as loopback interface. I'll tell you what is it. Second one, if you see, it is 10.0.2.15. That is an IP address, what I got, what is allocated by the virtual box to my virtual machine. Okay. So the IP address is 10.0.2.15. 15 slash 24 something like this. This is important for me in order to access this virtual machine from my Windows system. Or anyone who wants to access this particular virtual machine, this is the IP address. We came to know by executing a command. Now, how will you log into this particular virtual machine from this Windows system? How to do that? Either you need to have mobile system, as I told you, or like PuTTY application like this. PuTTY. So this is, oh, I have not installed. Okay. So either you can install it or I have something called mobile system. This is also an application we can use. You can see here, right? We can log into the Linux operating system, or we can use RDP, or we can use FTP protocol. So single method. So we can create a different sessions for Linux, Windows, and all this. It is up to you. And that's the reason why I prefer mobile system in my scenario. Okay. Or else we can use CLI. In the Windows system, you can open command prompt or a PowerShell, and you can execute the commands from here as well. If you need to log into the Linux system, we have to use SSH. Okay, so we have to use SSH space. Technically, we have to give the username of the system which you want to log in. That a virtual machine username is test user. And what is an IP address? At IP address is 10.0.2.15. This is the syntax. Okay, now enter. It will fail for sure. Why it will get failed, we will discuss. First, I want to show you the failure. Okay, you can see connection timeout. Okay, so the reason behind this is I'll tell you the behavior of this particular Oracle VirtualBox. By default, it is using NAT network. See, this is only for our info knowledge purpose. Okay, so here you can see this particular virtual machine is attached to a NAT network. You can see, just understand the concept. Don't dig into this one. Why? Because since you don't know about networking. So just I'm giving you the information that this particular virtual machine is assigned with the network called NAT. Okay. So what does it mean? Your virtual machine got an IP address from the NAT network. So it will look like this. We have a NAT network, which is the feature of your Oracle VirtualBox. NAT. Okay. So from this particular NAT network, we got the IP address to the system. Okay. Now, when you're trying to access this particular virtual machine by using that NAT IP address, yep. Now let us say I'm trying to do SSH. to this particular virtual machine. When I'm trying to do it, I got an output saying that connection timeout, right? I got an output saying that connection timed out. That is an expected behavior. Why? I will tell you. By default, incoming connections are not allowed. What does it mean? From outside, the traffic is not allowed inside when you're using a NAT network to your virtual machine. Okay? So, incoming traffic is not allowed. That's the reason why you are not able to log into that virtual machine. Okay, but outgoing traffic is allowed. What does it mean? We can talk to the network outside. That is the reason why you will be able to talk to the internet. That is possible. Best example, I will give you one. Let me complete this diagram. Okay. You are using mobile phones, all these particular things at your home, smart TV, all other appliances or the devices what you have at your home. You are able to connect to the router. Okay. And in the mobile, you are able to open the Facebook, WhatsApp, and other particular networking, social networking, and other websites and all. You are able to successfully access. Okay. Imagine this is like your router at your home. Okay. And this is one of the device that is attached to that particular router, only for our understanding purpose. Now, this particular device can talk to the internet. By default, it is possible because router is having a NATing functionality. NAT, network address translation. The full form of NAT is nothing but network address translation. Now the traffic is allowed outside. That's the reason why in the mobile or smart TV, you are able to open YouTube channel, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, or any other website or applications which needs internet connection. You are able to access without any restrictions. But if you ask any person from outside of your home, of your network, to access your device, it is not possible. People outside of this particular network, outside of this particular Wi-Fi network, they will not be able to access your device. It's not possible. Same applies here as well. Okay, a simple thing to understand and compare with. Okay, now to overcome this particular challenge, right now I want to use NAT network. I don't want to pick any other solution. There are other solutions as well. Right now, I don't want to pick because we don't know about networking. Only for that reason, I'm not teaching you that. When I complete networking, I will show you how to do that. Now, how to overcome this particular challenge, though I'm using NAT, but still I won't allow the access. Okay. So in the router also it is possible to do. We call it as port forwarding. Technically now what we have to do? Port forwarding. Port. P-O-R-T. Port for. This concept is there in the router as well. If you go to Wi-Fi router and if you know how to log in and access, router will internet service providers will give you some particular web page for that router. You have to give 192.168.0.1. In my case, let me give a try. If I give IP address, like if I want to log into my router, I can use 192.168.0.1. Yes, you can see I have to log in. My router is TP link. Here I have to give the username password. Understood, right? If I go inside this particular application, there you will see router settings and all, like port forwarding, other details and all. So what is the benefit of it? By default, the connectivity is not allowed. But still, if someone is trying to access to my NAT, I need to do a port forwarding to this particular virtual machine. Okay. So that is called as port forwarding. So you're not directly accessing the virtual machine IP address. You are accessing your system, Windows system IP address and some port number. If I try to access that, it will redirect the traffic to this particular virtual machine. That is called as port forwarding here. How we can configure this one? A simple thing is go back to your virtual machine. Here you can see settings. Either you can select this one or you can right click and you can go to settings. These are the two options, or else you can go directly to the network part. If I go to settings, I have to choose again network and I will go back here. If you want to jump to this particular option directly, we can select from here itself. You can see simple shortcut. Now you can see what kind of network we are using. NAT. Do not change this one. Here we can see an option called port forwarding. This is what I'm talking about. So just open that. Here you can see a plus symbol to add the entry. So add. Rule 1, if you want, you can change the name. It's up to you. I will just writing some dummy name. Hello SSH. Okay, that's the topic. Now here host port number. For now, everybody follow the same steps. I'm giving a port number called 2424 for now. Just follow the same. And the guest port number has to be 22 by default. Okay. Why is this and all we'll discuss later one by one. But as this particular data as it is. Host port number has to be 2424. Guest port number has to be 22. Okay. And then save the changes. Okay. And then click on OK. And then allow. Okay. If you hear any pop-up, just allow it. This is the only thing, just follow. Okay. What is this option? What exactly it does? We will discuss in the networking part, guys. That's the reason. Just blindly follow the steps, whatever I've shown. Now, once that is done, now you should not use this IP address directly. Okay. In place of that, what we have to use? Localhost. And additionally, we have to give a port number, -P. What is the port number we have given for the host? 2424. Either you can write with a space or we can club like this. And then what is the username of the virtual machine? Test user. And what is the IP address we have to use? I told you we should not contact the virtual machine directly. So localhost. And then give enter. Now this will be successful. Oh, connection aborted. Key exchange. Huh. Now you got this particular failure, right? Okay, I'll copy this particular failure and I will give it to you guys. Yeah, I see some hands, Santosh.
Yeah, hi. So you created the security groups, right? Like kind of inbound, outbound
No,
over
no,
there.
no. Technically, that is not an what do you say firewall rules. This is not a
Okay,
firewall.
okay,
Okay, we are
okay.
allowing the traffic. Technically, it is not a firewall. It is
So
called
this
as
is
port
private.
forwarding.
This is private, right? Or public?
Private. It's private connectivity.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Um. Okay, just a second. Why this particular screen is still getting shared? Okay, no. Okay, I gave you this particular failure. Save it somewhere so that if you come across that, you have to know how to fix that. Okay, so if you see this error, you have to go back to your virtual machine. Just follow this particular step. Sudo apt update. We are trying to install some package which is missing on this particular system. But before installing the package, you need to run this apt update command. Okay, just give the password of your test user and then enter. Your system is able to talk to the internet. That's the meaning of it. We have a separate topic for this one. What is apt update command? What it does exactly. So there we will discuss. For now, for that particular failure, these are the steps what you have to follow. As simple as that. And then sudo apt install open ssh hyphen server. Okay. So the package what I'm trying to install, which is missing on this particular system, for which we are not able to do SSH, is open ssh hyphen server package that I'm trying to install on this particular system. Give enter. So it will download the package and it will install. Okay. Now go back here. Your job is done. Now I'm hoping that this issue will not be there. I'm hoping so. I should. It should ask for password. Hmm. 24 we have given. Just a second. Did I give to any other system? Let me go to network, port forwarding, 24, 24, 22. Okay. Why it is still not able to? Still, if it is failing, right, I'll do one thing. I'll go back to the system once again. I have to check the status, system CTL, status, SSH, failed. Hmm. Let me try to start this service. Oh, it's getting failed. Journal, troubleshooting. Okay. Maybe you will not face the same issue. Let's see. Mm, mhm. Exited. What is the reason for this exit? Service control. No host key available. How come? Yeah, no host key available. Sorry. Just a second. Slow down. It's got installed. Okay. Mm, okay. It's fine. These are troubleshooting, guys. You can just ignore. Okay. Since I have not teached about that one, I cannot explain each and every line. Failed with result exit code 1. SHD. Uh, so authentication. Mhm. Hmm. Password bomb. Input login. Data looks good. Nothing to worry. Hmm. A second. Here. uh, so when I look at the line number, just 2 minutes, guys. I'll not take much time. In this particular line, it says talks about the actual error from here is host key found, but there is a key. Then why it is saying no host key available? No host key is available is all about host key is available, right? It's more of then there is a file as well that is not working. Failure to start SHD of the file. So when it talks about this one, okay, servers, okay, but let me do one thing. Uh, RSA ESD key not available. Okay. Now let me go back and check. Okay, I have to start the service rate. Sorry. Since it got failed, I have to start once again. Ah, now there is no failure. It is running. So that is a solution. You can see it is up and running without any issue. So now I will be able to log in. I'll give you these commands, guys. If you fall into this error again, if you fall into this error, first one is you have to install that packages. Again, if you fall into this error, check the status of the service. I told you right how to verify the status. Systemctl status SSH. If it is showing as a failure, run this command sh-keygen space hyphen capital A. Before executing that command, you have to give sudo. That is also important. Now, if I give a try to log in, it should work. You can see it's working. Just we have to give yes, and it will ask for password. So 99% your task is done. Give the password of the test user. Test 123. You can see from one Windows system, I have logged into my virtual Linux operating system. Here I can use mouse, I can copy paste, I can do all these things, whatever I want. Okay. So from tomorrow onwards, from the next class tomorrow, we will be practicing on this particular system so that it will be easy for me to copy paste few of the commands which I want to show you how to execute and all. For you also, it will be comfortable. Now, if you go back and check W command, we will see two users have logged in. You can see two users. One is from here, another one is from here. Two users, right? Okay. So one user has logged in directly, another user has logged in through remote connectivity. Okay. One has logged in from here itself. That is called as direct access. One has logged in through SSH. That is remote access. So this one comes under remote remote access. Okay. Now, any questions? I think Santosh, yeah.
So can we integrate the GitHub also here?
Can we?
GitHub can we integrate here?
No, we can't. Why GitHub here?
Suppose I want to create repository in GitHub and want to push that code over there. Is it possible here?
Huh. Okay, you meant you can do it from Windows system, we can do it from Linux system. From
Yes,
anywhere we
yes.
can do it. It's
Okay, okay,
possible. Only thing, see, if you want to do any activity on related to Git, you need to have internet connection to push that changes.
okay.
If your system is having, from anywhere we can do it. It doesn't mean whether it is a virtual machine or a physical machine. Okay?
So we need to do some certain configuration setup over there, right?
Nothing.
With
By default, Git package will be there in Linux system.
okay, okay, got it.
Just you need to know how to run the commands to push your
Yes, yes,
changes to the remote repository.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Any other questions related to the? I think this one which I've shown, right, for you guys to understand if you are new, it will take some time. So I would recommend go back, watch the video, and do it practically from your end. If you face any challenges, please let me know. I'll be help you out. Okay. Just ping me in this particular Teams meeting as well. When I log into the system, I will see your message and then I will try to reply. So let us use this particular chat room as a communication channel for time being. Okay. I think we are good for today. And tomorrow we'll continue with rest of important some of the commands. Okay.
I in the start of the class I showed.
Yeah, if there are no questions, you can share, but just wait. I just want to check with others as well. Everybody are okay with this or any questions?
No, so then we are good.
Yeah. Okay then. Other guys can drop off, or if you want to stay back, it's up to you. Harish, you can share your screen. Uh, I'll just keep this recording as well so that if you can refer. Yeah, you logged in, right? Just give enter. Now you will see a login prompt. Hmm. Just you have to give username password. It took some time from your case. You can see you logged into the system. Now you can practice.